We've got to talk about Trump's threats against the city of Chicago and his executive order to rename the Department of Defense the Department of War. And you had Trump saying that this new name demonstrates our ability and willingness to fight and win wars on behalf of our nation at a moment's notice, not just to defend. Now, a big note here is that Trump, he didn't come up with this name on his own. The Department of Defense actually used to be called that until after World War II, when the name was officially changed by Congress, which is actually a sticking point here. This name change, or so-called name restoration, it doesn't have congressional approval, which means it isn't official yet. But back onto the topic of our war president Trump, something else that many say flies in the face of his president of peace branding is that one of his first actions after the name change was threatening to bring his Department of War down on Chicago. Because on Saturday, Trump shared yet another bad AI-generated image of his face on someone else's body, with it appearing to be a reference to the 1979 film Apocalypse Now, except the title read Chipocalypse Now. With Trump adding, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." And as you might imagine, that wasn't received well by many, including officials within Illinois, including Governor JB Pritzker. With him responding on X, the President of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. Donald Trump isn't a strong man. He's a scared man. Illinois won't be intimidated by a wannabe dictator. And you had that sentiment being echoed by Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, as well as Illinois Senator Dick Durbin. And all of this is made worse because this threat, it follows weeks of comments from Team Trump about sending troops into cities led by Democrats across the country. Very similar to what he's done in DC, with Chicago being one of the most talked about targets. And that's also as immigration enforcement operations are set to ramp up within the city, which then led to thousands of protesters gathering to the streets of Chicago on Saturday, and a couple hundred even blocked an ICE processing center at one point. But then all of that, it brings us to yesterday when, for whatever reason, you saw Trump walking back his threat of war in Chicago.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would you the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
Though that, of course, flies in the face of everyone saying when the president says he's going to crack down on someone, believe him. Noting that he has a tendency to say what he means, even if it's extreme, then pulling back, and then slowly, whatever the norm is, shifts to the more extreme. Right? In this angle of Trump declaring war on Democratic cities, or whatever way he kind of frames it, you should definitely expect and prepare for more of it, because him being tough on crime is the thing he's least worse being pulled on right now. Right? According to an aggregate of polls about Trump's approval on major issues, very down on trade, very down on the economy, very down on foreign policy, but only a little down when it comes to crime and immigration. He is still in the negatives there, but only by a little, and it looks like they're seeing that as a place of opportunity. But as far as if that's going to be successful or not, or he's going to alienate even more people, we'll have to wait to see.